Hey, Club Spud! So happy to be here. I hope there are some people joining in live. And I have my friend and colleague and amazing person, Dr. Marquita Blades. I said it wrong. Get stuck on it every time because I know somebody else that says it the hard way. So I have to remember that. But she is the founder of Powerful Teaching and 100,000 other things. Can't even keep up what she's doing in her life. She is energetic and passionate and at her heart an educator. Whatever she's doing, education's at the heart of it. And that's for sure. So I'm super excited. Thanks for being here with me, Marquita.
Thank you, Kara. And hey, everybody. Thank you for having me, Kara. You know, it's always fun when we get on here together.
It is. We have a great time together. And so we laugh and you just want to be with us, right? So
Yes.
if you're watching live, make sure when you comment, you put your name because sometimes if you haven't given StreamYard permission, then I can't even tell who you are. It just says Facebook user. That's no fun, right? So let me know who you are. And if you're on replay, put hashtag replay and let us know too because we love to know that our time is worthwhile. So, Dr. Blades is going to be speaking at my Club Sped training. I think it's not next week, but the next week. So, we have a whole week and a couple of days to get on board with that. But if you've not heard of my club before, I'm going to put the link up here in a little bit. But it's a membership. It's $18 a month. If you did the whole year, it's 150. Like it's really a no-brainer. It's pocket change, really, and it's so valuable to the people that are in it. Like I get all the time, they tell me, I just love this. Thank you so much. And so two of the things we do every month is we have a Q&A with me. You get an hour with a seasoned veteran special education teacher just to answer whatever questions you want, help you brainstorm. Sometimes there's only 2 or 3 people show up. You get a lot of one-on-one with me, which typically would cost like $150 for a one-on-one with me. But you get it for your monthly fee. And I have a snack and chat we do once a month, which is not recorded. And really, we just hang out. Sometimes we try not to gripe too much, but honestly, in our field, there are some things to gripe about, right? And then we try to help each other and support each other. Come in your jammies, bring your coffee, your wine, whatever you need to bring, right? And then I also do a topic training every month. And my favorite thing is I have guests in to speak. And so Marquita is going to speak this month on a topic that I'm super excited about is high, well, I'm going to say it wrong, high quality teaching and high quality self-care because it's hard to balance that, right? We all
Mhm.
know it. So let us know a little bit about why you're passionate about that topic.
Well, the main reason why I'm passionate about that topic is because I always considered myself to be a high level teacher. And I always wanted to do things out of the box with my students. But um, I would say about 4 years into a lupus diagnosis, I just noticed that that level of energy that I came into the classroom with started to decline. And sometimes it was just inconsistent. So I would have really good weeks and I would have really bad weeks. And
You got everybody there, right?
yeah, and my students, they never knew what teacher they were going to get, And when we had our good weeks, I had them and they were, ready to go. And then on my down weeks, they're like, well, why aren't we doing this? And why aren't we doing that? And then when I felt better, I would have to spend a lot of time getting them back on board and getting them to trust again that what we're doing is going to be meaningful and worth their time, like the phrase that you mentioned earlier. So it became important for me to find ways to continue to give my students that high level, high quality learning, even when I couldn't be high level myself.
That is so true, Marquia, because you're like, you plan this amazing week with all these hands-on activities and group work and all the things that make education beautiful. And then
Yep,
you're like,
I know. Yep. You get in there and you're like, Lord, just let me make it to lunch. Then after lunch, you're like, just let me make it to dismissal. And I promise I'll try to do better tomorrow. And then
yeah,
sometimes tomorrow, though, it didn't get better,
yeah.
you know.
They wear us out with because when you do those things, they're so engaging. We know they learn more, but there's more tension on the teacher because you have to supervise more and you might have a little social thing going on over here and a little behavior going on over here. So you're just like, it's like on high alert. I have a sister who's married to a policeman, and it reminds me of how he acts when he walks into any environment, because policemen are always on alert. And so like whenever we walk into a new place with him, like you can't talk to him for like 10 minutes because he's like getting the bearings, finding out where the
Yep.
exits are. Like it's interesting. And I'm like, teachers are kind of like that when they're in the minute.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. And so, what I'm going to be sharing this month, and I can't wait to share it. But before I talk about that, the other side of that too, Kara, is the prep. So you mentioned what all happens when you're in the classroom and have that highly engaging lesson, but let's not talk about all the time it takes to prepare for it. And okay, maybe your energy is on 20 that day, and you put all this prep in, and then the kids are on 5, and you're like, wait a minute, I know I didn't do all of this for y'all not to be on board, not to be paying attention, not to have the right attitude. Um, so it was important to find ways, like I said, to be high level, to give that high level instruction without wearing myself out any more than what I already does. So what I already was. So y'all, these were really my survival tactics, if you will, and they just happen to be great strategies on top of that. Uh, so the first thing I'm gonna talk about in Club Sped, and I believe it's on the 21st, is the rigor and relevance framework and why rigor is so important, particularly for our special education students or students receiving special services, I believe is how I want to say that. I hate to put the label on it. Um, I would even say that paying attention to the rigor is even more important for students receiving special services because um, with those labels come a stigma. And then with those stigmas come biases. And it's not always coming from the teacher. A lot of times it's coming from the student because they've sat in these meetings where people have talked across the table about what they can and can't do. Sometimes they don't even get input to speak up for themselves. So pushing them to a higher level of rigor means that they're going to experience the growth that we need them to experience. Not always memorize everything, not walk away from the class knowing every single thing, but we're going to get them experiencing some growth in how they think, how they process information. And that's what's really going to be important. Not so much if I can remember 50 facts, but how can I arrive at 50 new ideas or 50 new ways of seeing the information? So I push rigor.
I
And I
love
push
that.
rigor more so for my students who have been labeled. So we're going to talk about the rigor and relevance framework. And then we're going to talk about some quick things that you can do, looking at your lessons that you already had and making one or two little adjustments so that they go from wherever they currently are on the rigor and relevance scale to the next level up or even 2 levels up. I'm going to be sharing some resources with y'all, and we'll walk through a couple of examples of how you all can do that.
So good. Because I'm in alternative education now, and I have learned very quickly. I already knew this as a teacher, but it's just honed home to me about how high I need to hold my students. Like, I think what we do as educators, because we have too many students and too much paperwork and too many things coming down from the State Department and blah, 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 all this stuff, that the easiest thing to do when something struggles is to step in and fix it. Like, we're fixers. That's why we go into education. We want to help, we want to support. And several years ago, it became very clear to me, like, I'm holding my students small. Like, and that is not good. I want people to hold me small. I
Yeah.
want people to allow me to reach my potential. And so holding that expectation while applying grace is what they need. And they're so thankful for it in the end. It's going to be tough. They're not used to being held high. They're not used to
Right.
being expected to reach that rigor.
And
But
when you're the only one doing it, they're going to think that you are against them. They
Def-
really,
until finally it
yep.
clicked. Yeah. I had a student this week ask me, when are you gonna text my mom and let her know I'm working hard? And I
Oh,
do that quite frequently. So he meant like again.
mm-hmm.
And when I say that out loud, I think most people get the idea that I'm talking about a young student. This is a sophomore in high school.
Wow.
And then the next thing out of his mouth was, because she just smiles so big when you do that. And
Oh,
here's this, 17, 16-year-old kid who's like, my mom's happy with something a teacher said probably for the first time in his life. And he
mm,
wants it to repeat now that he knows what that feels like. But he had to know what it felt like. And so I'm talking about like, it's not like he did some great, great, big, huge thing, but he showed up and he worked hard for 30 minutes. It's a big deal for him.
no, that is a big deal. The last school I taught in was an alternative school as well, Kara, and I still gave out stickers. And some of my kids were on probation and had court mandated anger management, and I still gave out stickers.
Yeah.
And when they didn't get one, they would be asking,
Mhm.
Miss Dr. Blades, what's up with my sticker?
They do. I had one time a junior, I put together a graduation plan for him and walked him through everything he needed to do to get his diploma. And I only had one copy of it and it was time for him to leave. And he's like, can I take it with me? And I'm like, we can't lose it. We can't lose it. Right. And I didn't have time to make a copy. And he said, I promise, Mrs. Gliff, I'll even leave it in the car, but I've got to show my mom.
Oh, yeah.
Like, big, tough people. And so holding them high, it's important. And so that's why I'm so excited you're going to talk about rigor and then the self-care piece of it as well, because it takes a
Yeah.
lot of out of us to do that. So
It does. And it's creating boundaries and knowing when you've done a good job in your planning and in your implementation and allowing that to be enough because we always feel like we want to do more. That was great. I should incorporate that every week. No, you shouldn't. That was great, but it cost you X number of hours. Now you need to let that ride for a little while, and you can do it again at another time. So you don't have to be bouncing off the walls every single day. So we'll talk about, infusing in those healthy boundaries and even how to communicate that to your parents and students so that they understand how much you care about them, but they don't also put that savior cape around
yeah.
your neck. My students, they knew that I loved them, but it was so funny. Kids would say stuff like, "Are you come to the football game this Friday night?" And then another kid would say, "Now she's not coming to the football game. She comes to one football game per year, one basketball game per year." He's like, "I don't know why y'all ask her this because she's not coming." And I thought it's good that y'all know that.
Yes, it
You
is.
know, y'all tell me about it on Monday morning. I'm happy to
And
hear
the disappointment, like, and I used to like own that disappointment, like, "Oh, I gotta do more because they're so disappointed." No, it's okay that they're disappointed. That means you're doing the right thing because they wouldn't be disappointed if they didn't think you cared.
it. Well, you know what? And the thing is, they appreciate the honesty. So only feel disappointed if you tell them you're coming knowing you're not going to go.
Yes, that
But
kind
if
of
you tell them
disappointment.
up front, baby, I'm not going to be there.
Yeah,
Then they're hurt for 30 seconds and then they get over it.
right, right. Because like, and they understand you're a real person with a
Yes.
life outside of being a
Yep.
teacher. With the whole world needs to understand better, and so we should be starting with our kids on that. Because
Yes.
I've had that same boundary for years. I'm like, I'll come to one music thing and one,
Yep.
and I do because they're important to me, but my own people are important to me too, and my own
Absolutely.
self.
Absolutely.
And one thing I love about you, Marquita, that you live your whole life celebrating your successes publicly, and people are like funny about that. Certain people just can't take it. They're like, it's bragging or it's
Yes.
self,
Yes.
indulgent, and like the things that were kind of taught as girls growing up, like that's not good to do that.
Right.
And I love that you do that, that you celebrate your real estate wins and, you're just like, hey, I'm having this nice dinner because I just closed another deal or whatever. And I love it. And so today I took that example from you and I finished a IEP that I was really struggling with for a lot of reasons. And when I got it done, I went and got me a nice lunch.
Yeah. Didn't
And
it
that
feel
is how
good? It always amazes me when people are bothered that people celebrate themselves. But it's like you said, it's because we are taught to be humble. But I think people take that word out of context a whole lot. Be humble as in, you can be corrected. I can, I stand corrected when I'm wrong and I can admit. But I don't think we have to be humble about things we're good at, things that we succeed at. And anyone who truly follows me like you do and you engage and interact with me, you know what place it's coming from. And
yes.
then people who know what I've gone through the past few years with my health and how many times I went to bed at night and didn't think I was going to open my eyes the next morning, they understand where that is
Yeah.
coming from. And I'm always doing it just to say to other people, you have permission to do this too.
Right. And I love it because it really does inspire me when I tend to not like, so when I tend not to want to do something, knowing that there's other people that do this too, and that's okay. It makes it
Hmm.
normal, and not only just normal, but what we should do. And it really is. And I believe that. And I'm just so glad to have you in my life.
Yes, I know. Off of what pandemic internet.
Yep. Yep. So many of the most important people in my life now I met because during the pandemic, I did not want to sit home and do nothing. And I was
Yep.
like, I'm going to use this time to figure out how to reach the world on this platform. And I'm so glad that God inspired me to do that because I have people everywhere now. Like I could go to almost any state and find somebody to go stay at their
Wow.
house to get a hotel. So
Yeah, you've done an amazing job building this. I remember your first summit, which is when you reached out to me. And to see now that it's turned into this private community and a membership and just
yeah,
everything that you're doing.
it's
It
fun.
takes a lot of discipline, Kara, to focus and stick with something like this. So I want to commend you on that. And I want to commend you for keeping me in the loop of your circle.
Of course, I need you in my circle, girl. But it is. It's a roller coaster. It's very easy to give up. Entrepreneurship, is whew, it's definitely ups and downs in there. But that consistency that you build, like, I mean, right now I'm going through a really hard time personally, but I'm not giving up on my business, even though it'd be very easy to. Like, it's
Hmm.
nobody's gonna get mad at me if I shut it down. That I see every day. There might be some people on mine upset, but whatever. Nobody's gonna take my paycheck. Nobody's gonna write me a bad rap because I'm an employee of myself. So I have to hold myself accountable. And because I have systems in place, I can keep it going when my life personally is falling apart. And that's
Yeah,
okay because that's life.
that is life. Yep.
So thank you so much for coming on with me. And if you're catching this halfway through at the end, again, let us know you're here. Hashtag replay. We love to know what you think of what we share. And check out Club Spud because if you get in before the 21st, you'll be able to attend Marquita's session live and there'll be a Q&A time. And so you get to pick two brains, not one. See you later. Love you guys.